Okay, to begin, I would like to introduce the man behind it all. Of course, I would not like to give resume introductions because we'll be displaying everybody's resume introduction here. And again, to keep yourselves awake, you could actually look in there, it helps. But somebody who claims that he has been places that no man has been to before, and I argued, I'm sure other men have been too, but to prove it, he said that he also spoke to the lady in the ladies' toilet, so that's where he has been. He enjoys his weekly golf fix, is a foodie, and loves traveling, like most of us do. Introducing Mr. Krishnakumar Iyer, Director General of APMP India. Please welcome on stage Mr. Krishnakumar Iyer, who also likes to be known as KK.
Thank you, Nikki. Pleasure being here. Very, very exciting moments. And also discovered first thing in the morning that we have serious competition for the day. So a lot of thought went into this conference, and we just discovered that there's actually going to be a film shooting going to happen outside. So this is serious competition for us. Speakers, panelists, watch out. Just for information for the men, no, Deepika Padukone is not here. For the women, Karthik Aaryan is also not going to be here. Sorry? Prabhas, okay. No, he is also not here. So, so very excited to be here. I'm just going to start with a bit of a confession. I ended up in the bid and proposal management function as an accident. And I have a strong suspicion that many of you are here. Quick show of hands. How many of you ended up in this profession as an accident? Slowly hands are coming up. My guess is that it's about 70%. Okay? So very interesting the way we have landed up in this profession, probably not knowing what to do, swim or sink, but we've definitely been swimming for sure. And what you're going to attempt to do is to try and help you swim better, faster, whatever makes sense. What I'm going to do here is, can I get the presentation on, please? Just help me out with a little bit of information about you. So I just want a few questions answered. Just want to know how many of you are here with less than about 2 years of experience in bid and proposal management? Okay, so that's about, I would say 5% or less. Interesting. Greater than 7 years of experience in bid and proposal management? Now that's interesting. Okay, I didn't expect that. Okay. But that also goes to show that a conference like this was needed, because clearly there are challenges, there are opportunities, and there are different ways by which people are doing things, and that's always interesting to find out in a conference for sure. Quick question, how many of you are certified with APMP? Oh, quite a significant number. Actually, I should have put one more question before certified with APMP is, how many of you are here just out of curiosity? Nice. I didn't expect any, but I'm really glad to see a few hands. So hopefully we will have something of value for you as part of this conference. So good. Interesting question. How many are from companies that are outside of this information technology industry? Okay, good luck. Okay, good to see. That's about, I would say, roughly 25% is what I would say. And how many of you are outside of Mumbai? How many of you have traveled here? Oh boy. Now that also is a surprise for me. To me, that looks like roughly 70% who have traveled from outside of Mumbai. That's very, very encouraging, guys. So, that hopefully helps our panel moderators as well to get an idea of the profile of the audience so that you can tune your message in line with that. Time and again I go into this introspection mode to say, who are we, what are we, and Why should we be even here? And I always keep going back to this specific article published by McKinsey in the Harvard Business Review quite some time ago. And two things which always stood out for me was that their study seems to show that strong pre-sales capability consistently achieve win rates of 40 to 50% in new business and 80 to 90% in renewal business, well above average rates. What this tells me is that while many a times a pre-sales function might have started off with the intent of merely being a support function, the shift that's happened is that it's no longer a support function, it's a strategic function. The point here is that many a times organizations either don't recognize this or they don't say it explicitly, but they are expecting that you will demonstrate strategic behavior. I don't know how many of you realize this, but this realization took me a while for me to come to, and I just thought that I should share this with you, and it clearly is demonstrated by a study by McKinsey here. The second point that is what they are talking about is the key to closing deals is pre-sales ability to shape conversations. Note the word shape, which means you have a very strong opportunity, and you also need to develop the ability to start giving the conversations a nice structure to be able to build those wins into your organizations. And clearly, sales alone may not have the capability. And in fact, therefore, they are dependent on you to help you shape this conversation. So I just wanted to leave these two sort of significant thoughts in your mind so that you can keep this when you go back to your organizations and when you're deep down into the battle wondering why you're in existence and stuff like that, you can at least go back to these points and maybe have a better conversation within your organization. Okay. What I'm also going to attempt to do is to give you a sense of where APMP stands today. And the idea here is to share where APMP worldwide looks like and where we stand. So a few numbers would be useful. APMP worldwide is about close to 10,000 members. Okay? In India, we are 385. We've got a long way to go. But that also tells us that there's a huge opportunity. What is more interesting here is while APMP's genesis and history has been very strong US-centric, and especially very strong US federal-centric, the color and flavor of APMP is starting to become very international, okay? 45 to 54. And I think as the years go by, this is going to skew more and more towards international. And India being, of course, part of the international community has a huge opportunity to therefore have a say in these numbers. But more importantly, I think what this also tells me here is that we in India have also an opportunity to define what we think APMP should do for you. How our bid and proposal management community needs to operate in India's unique business world, culture, etc., etc. And I think that's the opportunity that I see as far as APMP India is concerned. Okay. Some indicators of chapter-wise memberships. So APMP organizes itself in terms of chapters. Now there it's a mixed bag. If you take US, they have chapters across different states, Florida chapter, California chapter, Chicago chapter, etc., etc. But in other countries like UK, the entire country is defined as one chapter. India is defined as one chapter, okay? So if you look at the numbers here, APMP India is now already 6th highest, okay? And clearly, as I said, there is significant room to grow. And I'll also talk about what that room to grow means for each one of us as bid and proposal professionals in just a moment. Some idea of certification. Worldwide certification numbers roughly look like this. Foundation about close to 1,400, practitioner level about 257, and professional level about 16. And India total certified members are 327, okay? And what has happened is since the last 1 year where APMP brought down the prices for both certification as well as for membership, there's definitely been a significant jump in the memberships. And we continue to hope that APMP International will look at India in a very, very favorable sense and offer these very, very specialized prices as far as India is concerned. Okay, all these numbers are great. What does this mean as far as the Indian marketplace is concerned? So it got me thinking, and I said, how do I find out how many bid and proposal professionals are there? And needless to say, there was no data available. Many times people ask, oh, bid and proposal professional? Is there something like a professional there as well? I say, yeah, well, there is one. So the classic technique of go to LinkedIn and figure it out is what I applied here, and the results look very staggering. So I just did a search using India and proposal, and we have got what, close to 111,000, 1.1 lakh, and if you go search around bid, it means 60,000. When you put these two numbers, they're very stark. So you have got, what, 385 memberships, and roughly a market size ranging anywhere between, pick any number from about, what, 70,000 to about a lakh. It says a couple of things for us. One, this profession exists in a very serious manner across the country, number one. Number two, what this means for each one of us is lots of opportunities in terms of our own career growth. Which means we have more room to play, which means we can demonstrate our capabilities and start chasing those opportunities. Because many times when you end up in a profession by accident, you are continuously question, am I in the right profession? Is this the real place where I want to be? Is this great for your career growth? Those questions keep coming. I hope these figures kind of help you remove those doubts. Also, from the organization's standpoint, what this starts meaning to them is that, hey, there is plenty of room to now get people certified. Make sure that those certification demonstrates more value to your organizations, whether it means in terms of bringing in better best practices, bringing in more processes, etc., etc. And more importantly, moving from this whole idea of being a hero to becoming something which is bringing in more predictability and structure to the way you put together proposals. I'll also use a bit of an analogy here, a cricketing analogy. I don't know how many of you are cricketing enthusiasts here, but if you look at the way cricket was played by India in the 90s, it always used to revolve around Sachin, for example, right? So if Sachin is playing, there is hope. If Sachin is out, we pretty much switch off the TV and do whatever we wanted to do. That's what I call as a heroic mode. So you had one hero who was pretty much pulling the entire team along, and if you win, you're thrilled. If you lose, you say, yeah, well, not feeling good, but I couldn't have asked for anything better. To the Indian cricket team today, where most of us are expecting the Indian cricket team to win. You will still have the odd day when we lose, but most of the time we are winning. It's not that they have complete control over all the wins, but what they are investing in, what they are focusing on is the preparation, the nets, looking at the conditions, looking at the kind of opposition that they have. A whole variety of factors are now starting to come into play in them deciding their strategy for a particular test match. Of course, the toss is still out of their control, but that's a big shift that has started happening. And I think this analogy, in my view, applies to our profession as well. So I would encourage each one of us to look at it from that standpoint and say, no more heroics. Can I avoid that 2 a.m. proposal making? Can I avoid that Sunday afternoon 4 p.m. proposal making and get into a scenario where I'm still able to put together proposals well within time? I think that's really the question in front of us. Okay. Okay. Coming back to the conference itself, this conference has been in thinking for what? At least about 9 to 10 months. Not sure, should we take off, should we not take off? Will we end up cash flow negative? Will we get enough participants? Having attended multiple bid and proposal conferences in the US and looking at the gigantic scale at which they operate, we did have a lot of questions. Let me be honest enough to say that. But I think the previous governing board egged us on, pushed us on, and we reached a stage where we think we could pull it off. And I think one of the biggest kudos that we need to give is to the sponsors, because they came forward and say, you know what, we will fund it. We'll help you take this conference off. And I think that made a huge difference in our ability to say, yes, we will go ahead with the conference. The second step that we did, and I think on hindsight, proved very well, is to say that we need an expanded governing board. So I guess sometime in September, October, we invited nominations from everybody to come and join us on the governing board, went through a very rigorous and difficult nomination process, and finally we came up with a board which is highly experienced, very diverse, and to the credit of the board, what I must say is that the conference was the first deliverable on that plate, and the amount of energy, the amount of enthusiasm that has been shown by the board has been phenomenal. And if it is happening today, it's because of the energy and enthusiasm that this new board has brought to the table. So it's most appropriate, therefore, now I introduce you to each member of the board. You'll get to meet them, you'll get to see their profile, but I just want you to see them in flesh and blood, just in case you haven't met them. So starting with Sunil Agarwal, he's also our chair. So Sunil, can you stand up? Where are you? Yeah, can you face the audience, please? So Sunil continues from his previous term into this current term. So the current governing board's term is 2020 right up to December 2021. It's a 2-year term. Sampada Abhyankar, co-chair. Sampada works for SAP, has been a major supporter for all our Mumbai chapter meetings. So that's Sampada. Abhijit Majumdar, so that's Abhijit. Abhijit is going to run the AI and ML session, quite an interesting session about where the future of our profession goes. So he's going to be running that session. Abhilasha Shiva works for First Source, runs a very large bid team, and she's also going to be a part of a panel discussion later today. Sam Singh, we tried very hard to detach Sam from his car using Photoshop, but Sam, we failed. So we thought we'll keep you with your car. Sanjay Singh works for Genpact, unfortunately due to other business commitments, and that's a fact of life that we all recognize, is that you'll always have these last minute things which do come up and you have to change your priority, and that's absolutely respected. So Sanjay Singh works for Genpact, operates out of New Delhi. He's been the brainchild behind the entire awards program for today. So thank him whenever you can. Shankar Lagadu, he's a co-founder for RFP.io, one of our sponsors. He's based out of the US. Unfortunately, clashing business commitments, etc., so he couldn't make it here. But do reach out to him and thank him for his role as far as the governing board is concerned. Okay, and that's Rupesh. Anybody does not know Rupesh? So he's a man who's been arguing with me for the last 1 year. Yeah, so he's the one who kept saying, we need a conference, and I think it'll showcase APMP's capabilities. It is what will deliver value to every bid and proposal professional. He comes from a very strong association background. He's worked for a number of years with CII, the Confederation of Indian Industry, the giant as far as, probably the largest association as far as I know within Asia or something like that. So he comes with a very strong background in holding such large events, working with professionals within an association and all of those. So thanks to all those pushing, prodding arguments, this is where we have reached. So you all know Rupesh, get in touch with him for any of your requirements and do that. Simply put, what I would encourage all of you to do is go network with the board, talk to them, hassle them, tell them about some of the challenges that you're facing in your profession, tell them about some of the good work that you're doing as part of your profession. I mean, it's both sides are happening, I'm sure. And I think if you're able to do that, this will be very critical inputs for the board in shaping where APMP is going to go forward. So I would strongly encourage you to do that, okay? Good. A bit of thinking about the whole conference theme. The theme that we adopted is moving the needle. And why we adopted this theme was, given the fact that we have people who are, with significantly less number of years of experience, as well as people with many years of experience and a whole lot of in between, we said, what is it that's of value to each one of them? And the thought that went through is that if everybody can just transform themselves or even make improvements to whatever degree possible, that's basically moving the needle. So we thought that this was a good conference theme. And having said that, we have organized the entire sessions under these broad 4 categories. Personal development, this is very important. As a bid and proposal professional, chances are high your organization is not going to tell you what skills you need. And I think this is something which it is expected that you will figure it out. This is where APMP comes into play. You can use APMP to get that sort of input in terms of what skills you need to develop, what are some of the best practices you need to adopt, and so on and so forth. Process, I talked about the need to move from being heroic to bringing in structure, predictability, and all of those into a profession. A lot of that is going to come by having the right process in place. And we have a number of topics which is kind of covering areas of the bid and proposal management from a process standpoint. And hopefully you will get a lot of takeaways which you can then adopt it as part of your organization. Win the business? Yeah, this is the constant battle, is where do I focus on merely submitting a bid? I'm sorry. Where do I focus on merely submitting the bid, and where do I get the time to winning the business? The answer is that you need to focus on both. You don't have a choice, unfortunately. But it's the usual thing that works. Winning is what is going to help you stand out within your organization. And I think a couple of topics on how to win the business, how to build a winning strategy, for example. We have some excellent panelists who are going to talk about that. I would strongly recommend that you focus a lot on that topic, for example. And then, of course, thought leadership. AI, ML being one. While obviously there are concerns about AI and ML, I think in the bid and proposal industry, I suspect, as my viewpoint, that we're still taking a little baby steps in this, in my view, but I think therefore the opportunities are huge. But typical of new technology, there's always a little question, how is it going to impact me, positively, negatively, do I need to do anything, etc., all do come in mind. So use this session to get a better insight on where we think the profession is going, and hopefully you'll get a better clarity on how you want to approach AI and ML specifically in the context of our profession. Some suggestions on how you can derive best value from this conference. You spent money, you've taken the day off, so make sure that you're you're deriving the maximum value out of the day with us here. Firstly, interact with governing board members. I talked to you about that. They come with rich experience, international, local, different industries. Go and talk to them, see what they're doing, share your thoughts. Engage with speakers. So we are having a wide variety of speakers, people coming from the sales side, for example, people from the product organizations. See what they have to say about the world. It'll give you a much wider perspective. Okay? Network. Not the most natural of things for many of us. A large part of our time we are kind of cocooned within our organization because you are dealing with our own in-house stakeholders, so to speak. I would say just be shameless. Go and talk to anybody, It might just be that you like that person, it doesn't matter. But use every opportunity, go and network. I think this is a tremendous opportunity. The good news here is that I think we are still a relatively small conference. When I see something like the US Bid and Proposal Conference, where you have, 1,400 delegates, it can look a certain overwhelming, so to speak. But this is still a nice, neat little conference, so I would strongly encourage you to do that. Record and reflect. We are in an information overload world, needless to say. Time and again, my brain gets scrambled, whatever limited brain functions that I have, so I just have to sit back, reflect, what did I learn, try and knock off as many things as I can out of my little brain capacity, and I try and do that. It works many times. It doesn't work many times as well. But I would strongly encourage you to do, because one thing which I have realized, having attended many conferences, that there are many of the wow and aha moments, but gives you a boost of energy, but soon enough it kind of diminishes. You know, it's like nuclear fission. It has a half-life. One day after the conference, 50% of the energy is gone. 2 days later, 25%, you're left with only 25%, and 4 days later, oh, did I even attend that conference? You know, you're wondering with those kind of questions. So record and reflect always helps. Mobile phones, that's what you have. Record and reflect. Now that many of you are sort of in a relationship with APMP, so to speak, this works both ways. Your best value that you're going to get out of working with APMP is a two-way street, okay? So I would say a number of things. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the best practices of the body of knowledge, part of the APMP website. Go and download it, start using it, start digesting it, see, reflect upon it, introspect upon it, and see how you can bring it into your organization. Earn your continuing education units, all people who are certified. Now, APMP has not been very strict with this regime, but soon enough they are going to be. So if you want to retain your certification, you need to keep earning your continuing education units. Forget about this, the fact that APMP is going to impose it. Any which way, I think you should do this simply because it is going to continuously enhance your career. So if you make it as second nature, the rest of the things will get taken care of. Associate yourself with a chapter. We have 7 chapters in India. So start talking to the chapter leaders. We'll also have governing board members who are going to take up chapters. So you have some very significant leadership who's going to be part of these chapters. And go work with them, volunteer, contribute, and you'll see significant value for yourself, trust me. Write blogs? We are Indians. We don't like to write. But yet we have to write proposals, don't we? Look at the irony of the whole thing. It's quite a pleasant surprise that when I had to force a couple of guys to say, just write that experience. Don't worry what comes out of it. They themselves were very pleasantly surprised. So I somewhere feel that in each one of us there is a hidden writer, there is this ability to write and express. Start doing it. It doesn't matter how good or bad or ugly it is. Express yourself. I think we have to get into this habit. And many of these blogs, we will invite it as part of our APMP publications and blogs that we publish as part of LinkedIn and all of those. Most welcome to reach out to us, and we need a lot of material, honestly, and it has to come from you. Attend Indian and international webinars. There's plenty of webinars which keeps getting announced. So both Indian as well as international. Even if you're not able to attend a webinar, the best part is that it gets recorded. So whenever you have a bit of a leisure time, if at all, if any, try and use that to kind of listen to some of these interesting topics. And hey, you can always conduct a webinar. So look at it that way. Maybe you have brought in some innovation as part of your daily bid and proposal management. So far as it is not your organization confidential, look at sharing it maybe. And you'll be quite pleasantly surprised that you're actually solving a problem for a whole lot of people as well, okay? Quite exciting, trust me. Okay, so that's about a quick run through of what the conference is. Now, needless to say, a bunch of people have applied their minds and architected this conference, and we would definitely want to hear feedback from you, okay? So here's what I would like you to do. These instructions are also available in your bag. What I would like you to do is download this app. You can do it right away. This app called Finzo Survey app. It's a very lightweight app. Don't worry, it's not going to take up too much space. It's free of malware. Just download this app. Make sure you click on the login button. I'll just walking through literally this instruction because we do need your feedback. I want every one of you to give us your feedback. Log in, and once you get into this screen, log in as a surveyor. Okay? Once you do that, you will be expected to enter a survey code. The survey code that you need to enter is CBPM India. Okay? Yes, please go ahead, download your app. These instructions are available as part of your bag. In case you can't find it, ask your neighbor or we'll get it out for you soon enough. Okay? Do enter your name and phone in case you want to remain anonymous. Your choice. And finally, this is how your session by session survey will look like. So at the end of every session, you can go ahead and click on this button. It'll just ask you one simple question and a little text box with some feedback. We have kept it extremely simple. So you should have no reasons not to give us that feedback. Okay? Help us to help you better, whatever that expression is. Okay? Right. Finally, we hired a caricature artist. This is the job he did for me. Now somebody told me, Sunil Agarwal told me, that this looks better than me. So this is what I'm going to paste on my face. So there you go. So we do have a caricature artist sitting out there. Take full advantage of him. Get a nice little caricature done. Frame it, keep it on your table. I still have mine from the 2016 BPC in New Orleans, and it just brings a smile on my face. So do that, that's what we have available for you. Good. I'm noting the timer, so we are on the dot. Thank you very much. Really appreciate your time. I look forward to meeting each and every one of you during the course of the day, and I'm really hoping that you will enjoy this conference and talk about it. Yeah, sorry, I think Rupesh gave me one reminder which I forgot. Whenever possible, if you can take some pictures or take some notes and just drop them on the APMP India LinkedIn page. We are not on Twitter or Facebook or any of those social media sites, but we are definitely on LinkedIn. I strongly encourage you to put some notes, comments, observations, good, bad, ugly, whatever, it doesn't matter. So that the rest of the world can also know what's happening and how well it is going. Okay? All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time and look forward to seeing you during the rest of the day.